Hi, it's Julie from juliefit.com. Welcome to my WordPress tutorial. This is going to go over some of the basics, ideally for Beachbody Coaches. This is actually a video for my team, Team Victory, and I really hope that this helps. There are a lot of resources out there on how to set up WordPress, and I encourage you to use that on some of the basic things like installing your own theme. I also have some links in the description of the video to a couple of websites like Elegant Themes, which is what I'm using for this example. ThemeForest is another great site. Check out those links that are in the description. I've kind of modified how I originally recorded this video because it took too long. So we're going to start with WordPress Part 1. As you can see, this is my little plan on what we're going to cover. So this video starts out with the installation step. Then we're going to go right into pages and posts, setting up your menu, how to add store links, and the questions that were asked for me to cover. Coming up later, it'll probably be later this week or this weekend, I'm going to share about sidebars and widgets, some great plugins that I recommend that you start with. These are the essential ones that I have on every WordPress site that I ever use. And also, what is a home page featured image and documentation. This is actually going to touch more on elegant themes, but once you learn where these things are with one setup, it's pretty similar with other themes and stuff like that. So enjoy for the next 40 minutes. I've also linked in the description minute shortcuts if you want to just jump right on into how to add store links or your menu. So let's get to it. All right, so here I have a fresh installation of WordPress. I've already got it set up at my domain. In this case, it's demo.juliefit.com. Now, one key thing, do not install WordPress into a subfolder. A subfolder is anything that comes after this /here. So for instance, I'm automatically redirected to a subfolder for WP admin. That's a subfolder. So you want to make sure you install WordPress right here. That way when they go to your website, that's what they see. Even if you're just going to blog, don't do /blog. This is your website. This is where you want the website to land. So I'm going to just call this, for the sake of the demo, Julie Fitness. Admin, this is going to show up on your website. You can also set it to nickname. I usually like to stay with admin when you always have to think about all the bad people out there that are really annoying and trying to hack your website. So usually I just name it after myself. So I'm going to go ahead and name it Julie. So now I'm going to go ahead and set my password. I mean, you don't want to make it too complicated and you don't want to make it too simple either, because honestly, there are people out there running bots, running computers that just try to find websites running certain software, and it knows what prompts to look for, and they just run password attempts. So do put some effort into making it a little harder for these hackers, but easy for you to remember. Okay, and then my email. You want to keep this checked just in case you forget to set it later. I'm going to go ahead and hit install. It takes less than a second, and I'm going to go ahead and log in. So this is a fresh install with my default setup. So now if I hit this takes me back home. As you can see, no subfolder. And this is just a very base install with the test post and everything. So now that we've loaded the template, I'm going to get rid of that little slogan there. And that's one of the first things you actually want to take care of. Once you have your theme in there, we're going to go into some of our settings. So let's start with general. At the beginning, I put in Julie Fitness. You can always change that. That's going to be what shows up on your website up here. And then it's followed by your slogan. Different themes decide whether or not to show your slogan here. So let's go, or tagline. So I'm going to actually just leave it blank. Time zone, the default is way off. So I'm going to change it to Los Angeles, which is towards the top. All right, date is fine, time is fine. I'm going to save it. Okay, right. A lot of these you can just leave at the default. And then lastly, permalinks. All right, you don't want to use the default. Search engines are so important. So I know you want the keywords in your title show up in your website address because that's going to really help you with search engines. I recommend either using month and name or post name. This is going to be a choice for you. Post name is a little more potent for search engines because it's not going to have extra stuff between. The analytical side of me prefers to have something like dates. That way, if I have multiple TurboFire post titles, I don't have TurboFire 1, TurboFire 2, you know what I mean. So I'm just going to keep it at that. So it is a little more unique, and I'm going to save. All right, so now if I go back to my website and I click on my sample page, you'll notice up here it calls it sample page. If I click on Hello World, you'll notice it now has the date and the title in the URL. A little bit of cleanup. By default, they throw in the sample page. I'm going to delete it. By default, they throw in a sample post. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So now my site is completely empty. It doesn't even know what to do. So let's go ahead and start. What is the difference between pages and posts? Pages are static pages. Basically, you want to do things like your about page will be a page. I'm just going to go ahead and set up that page and then publish. All right. And then another thing that will fall under a page, your contact page. And publish. And then of course, your product pages. These are pages that don't change very often. These are called your static pages. They don't dynamically update like posts will be. Posts are your blog style information that you want to communicate to your visitors. So going back here, right now I have the default settings, which alphabetizes my menu. We'll get back to that. Okay, so I've made a couple of pages, and now let's talk about our posts real quick. So like I mentioned, posts and pages are different. Posts are your dynamic content. This is the content that's going to include your journal, announcements, more, news, things like that. You can still talk about products, that's fine. Pages is going to have your product static purchase page. Think about when you go to the Team Beachbody website and you're going to buy P90X, this would represent more of what kind of content would go onto your product page. It's what is the program, and here's the button to click it. So back here, that's kind of what you would do with P90X. Here is what it is, and here's the action link. On posts, this is where you might post about your workout today. This might be where you post about maybe P90X showed up on Good Morning America and Tony Horton was on there and everything like that, and you can post about that. So this is where you kind of make more of news posts. So I'm going to just really quick type in a few example posts. All right, so here is just a sample post. And what I'm going to do is real quick, you can see automatically it updated the URL to the date, the year and month like I said in my permalinks. And it also has taken my title and changed it here. Now you'll notice that when I clicked on it, it actually gives me the option to change what it's going to say here. All right, so here is the post. Now, where WordPress really shines in search engines and things like that is using these URLs here, having categories and having tags. So you can plan your categories ahead of time, or you can just use them as you go. So a category, that's where you really want to sort things. And tags, those are more casual search words and phrases. So for example, a category would be workout. And it automatically will add you to that. Now, say I really do want to sort these by P90X. So I'm going to create one called P90X. I'm going to set its parent to workout. And I'm going to add it. And you can see how it kind of indents and falls under workout. Let's say I'm also going to talk about my nutrition. Then I'm going to also talk about some nutrition stuff. Okay, you get the idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate not just P90X, but I'm also incorporating a recipe. So somebody that's actually just looking for a recipe or wants to see something healthy, they get to also hear that I'm about to start P90X and vice versa. So because I've also included a recipe here, I'm going to start a new category called recipes. Now, now this is totally up to you if you want to group them this way or if you'd rather have specific posts to a recipe. That's totally up to you. I just want to show you how these different categories work. All right, tags. What on earth is a tag? These are keywords and key phrases that people might search to find your content, or just think of it this way. You want to find the content that you just posted. So what would you look for on Google to find that information? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put P90X, comma, chicken and broccoli, comma, healthy recipe, weight loss, weight training, stay at home, stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and add. And now you can see they've popped up here. So here's my post. I'm going to go ahead and publish it and then view it. So here's my title. Here's the content. And by default, here's recent posts, categories. All right, so now we're going to do one more step for our posts, and we're going to go to edit categories. Now, as I mentioned, you can just dynamically add these as you go. What you're also going to want is a default blog category. This is the one that all your posts go to. Now, you do have a default called uncategorized. I'm going to go ahead and edit that, and I'm going to just name it blog. What a slug is the URL. So anything that falls under there, by default, it has blog. So I'm going to go ahead and update. And now you can see I can't delete it because that's the default required category, and I've called it blog. That way, if you forget to categorize everything and put them in their little compartment, it's still going to come up when somebody looks at your blog. All right, so let's go ahead and actually fix this post. And now you can see blog there instead of uncategorized. I'm going to update it. I'm going to go ahead and add another test post. So this has to do with Shakeology. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's under blog. I'm going to add a new category called Shakeology and add that. And I'm going to add a couple of tags. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and publish. All right, so now that's published. I've got a couple of blog posts now, so I'm going to just go ahead and view it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and actually attach an image to it. And there's two ways to do this, because basically, if I click on Shakeology, it's going to show me all the posts under the Shakeology category, and it's pretty bland right now. So there's two things you need to do. One is when you go to edit the post, you're going to come down here on the right and set a featured image. So in this case, I actually don't have a preloaded example for Shakeology, but for this purpose, I'm just going to use this picture here. And that's my featured image. So I've uploaded it. I'm going to go ahead and title it, and then it's there. Now I'm going to update and show you what I've done. So now you can see it's just a thumbnail here, which actually I'm going to disable. And then now you can see it shows my post up here on the web page. It actually has something here now. And you can see with P90X, it doesn't show anything because I haven't set a picture. Let's fix that. When you're logged in, you can just go to any page or post, and then you'll have a link to edit the page. So again, we come down here to the bottom right, set a featured image. I'm going to upload a file. Sporty lady. Set featured image. It shows up there, and I update. Now when I go to my home page, you'll notice I have Shakeology and starting this week. Now when I actually click on blog, you'll notice it has both posts with the thumbnail. If I go to Shakeology, it only has my one that's under Shakeology, P90X. That's actually the product page. So let's go here. There we go. All right. So now let's clean things up a little bit. Let's fix this menu here. It's getting really busy and it's in alphabetical order. That's not the experience I want people to have when they visit my page. I'm going to go to my dashboard and I'm going to go to Appearance and Menus. You'll notice there's no menu set. So I'm going to go ahead and create a menu, and I'm going to call it Main Menu, and then hit Create Menu. Now you'll notice because my theme does have a defined menu, this box wasn't there before. Now it is. And it lets me select one of these menus. So if I actually created a new menu, and I'm going to call it Winter Menu. Maybe I have certain things in a different order. So now when I select here, you can see I have different options. So if you want to try something different, you don't have to delete what you've already done if you don't want to. All right, so there's our main menu. I'm going to go ahead and select it and save. If you don't put anything in here, it's going to continue with the default, just so you know. If I refresh this, you'll notice it still has this up here. Okay, so back here, this is the content of your website here. You do have a custom link, so you can put anything you want right here. I'll show you a little trick that I do when we get there. So custom links, pages, categories. So these are the actual pages we've been working on. If you'll recall, I made an about page, contact, and then those two programs. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to menu, and you can see they appeared up here. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the blog category only. All right, so here's the content of my site. I'm going to move about first, my blog second, and then these two programs are fine, and then contact Julie. I'm going to save my menu, and now I'm going to go back to my home page, and you'll notice there it is in the order I wanted it. All right, so going back to our dashboard, let's say I changed my mind and I actually think people will learn about me back here. And there we go. That simple. Now, I'm going to actually kind of organize it a little more. So I'm going to go back to my menus. And this is one of the little tricks I like to use. For the URL, I'm going to just put a £. And what that means is it keeps the person on the same page they're currently on. And then I'm going to call this workouts. Now, P90X and Les Mills Combat, those are workouts. So I'm going to take P90X, I'm going to drag it over here, and then I'm going to go slightly to the right so it falls under workouts. I'm going to do the same thing with combat. Now it's not under P90X, it's actually still under workouts, so it's a nice straight line right here. I'm going to move workouts right after the blog, so it's in line with blog. I'm going to save it, and now when I go to my home page, you'll notice those two disappeared. So now I have blogs, workouts, and now you'll notice how I have P90X and Les Mills Combat under there. Now if I click on workouts, nothing happens. If I click on P90X, it takes me here. Now notice this URL up here at the top. If I go to workouts and click on it, you'll notice it gets my pound sign there. Another option is I want them to shop. Instead of a custom page, I'm just going to send them to my Beachbody Coach URL. And my label is going to say shop. Add to menu, and now here's shop. And you'll notice just like workouts has custom, this has custom. So I'm going to move this up here instead. Now, one thing you'll notice is if I click on category and this arrow, it actually gives me the option to rename the menu. It doesn't rename the actual category, just what it displays on the menu. And then if I need to fix this shop URL, it's right there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save. And now when I go to the website, you'll notice I have shop, and it takes me to my Beachbody shop instead. All right, so now let's move on to something a little more complicated, and that's going to be setting up our shop links. So as you saw with P90X, for example, I'm going to just go ahead and click to the page and edit. Your alternative route is just to go back to your dashboard, go to pages, and then find that page. So setting up the shop link. In this case, I am using Elegant Themes, which comes with a few different buttons that you can use. This just makes it look prettier, faster. But let's just go over the quick and dirty. So I need to have a P90X description. So I would recommend you go to your shop and you actually just pull the description right off of here. So I'm going to just go ahead and just start right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste it. And you can always clean this up later. Now I'm going to go ahead and add an image. I'm going to just right click and save to my desktop. And what I do to add a picture is go to add media. You can see the pictures I've already loaded. I'm going to upload a new file. And there's the P90X base I just downloaded. And it's important here to actually use a good title, P90X base kit. You don't need to do a caption. Now in this case, I'm going to tell it to align to the left. I do not want it to link. And I want to use the full size. So make sure you fix those defaults. And then there it is on the left. Now after you insert it, click on it and you can go back and you can shrink it down smaller. You can move it over to the right if you'd like, change any of this stuff, or if you forgot to clear the URL, you can do that there. So I'm going to just go ahead and update it so I can see what it looks like, which isn't going to be completely beautiful because of some of these spaces here. Okay. So this is kind of where you will want to spend some time to kind of clean up some of the code that made life easier because it was already there. But on the same token, there's just a lot of extra gaps that aren't necessary. But you get the idea here. Now keep in mind also that unfortunately, even though it's a visual editor known as a WYSIWYG, At the same time, it's not going to show you exactly what your site will look like when it's posted. There is a little, it's a WYSIWYG, but at the same time, which WYSIWYG means what you see is what you get. At the same time, it's just the default setting. So once it's published on your page, then you can actually see what it's going to look like. One little tip from me is always open a second window that you can just refresh. So if you can put them side by side, that's great. If you have dual monitors, that's even better. It just makes it an easier, quicker workflow when you're first setting this up. All right, so there's all my text. Now I want to add a button. So I'm going to go ahead and edit the page. Now, by default, WordPress doesn't have buttons built into it. This theme does. You can always add new ones. You can always use an image. So I'm going to start by saying, if you want to just add a link to text. So in this case, I'm going to go right here and I'm going to say, get started with P90X right now. I'm going to highlight that text. I'm going to click link. Now, I don't have the link yet, so I'm going to go to the website, coachingcodes.com, and I'm going to scroll down. Let's try to stay out of that box. Okay, I'm going to put my username, my coach ID here, 33994. Then I'm going to put my screen name here. You really don't need these two. This is more for his team. And I'm going to go ahead and look for P90X. But you can also hit find. And I'm going to type P90X. Okay, these are videos. And here's the program. So here's the URL right here. I'm going to actually just right click, copy link. I'm going to go back to my WordPress window and I'm just going to delete what's here and then paste. All right, so you see the referring rep ID 33994, that's me, and it has HTTP in that. You're also going to want it to go to a new link so they still have your website open in case they want to go back. I'm going to go ahead and add link, and now you can see that's highlighted. So if I hit update, view page, P90X, now you can see this is in blue. I click it, it takes me to the purchase page, which of course for this demonstration does not load correctly the first try. All right, there it is. So I'm going to go ahead and close it, and just to prove that it worked correctly, there we go. All right, so that's just a text version. So now what I'm going to do, an alternative is to use an image. So I'm going to actually just go to Google and I'm going to say buy now button. All right, I'm going to click on images and I'm just going to kind of look around for something really simple. I mean, that's a nice enough picture. I'm just going to go ahead and view it. It's pretty big. I'm going to download it to my desktop and then I'm going to go back here. And I'm going to go ahead and say add media, upload a file, buy, and then there it is. Now, you notice I mentioned that it was kind of a big button. Now here's our defaults. That's kind of cool. It pulled up that info. Never seen that before. Huh. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to make it pretty small. I'm just going to make it 300 by 150, which I can actually change again. And I'm going to center it, and I'm going to insert it, and then there it is. It's still too big. So I'm going to go back here and just make it like 70%, and I'm going to leave that there. Now URL, it doesn't need to go to itself, but I still have my coaching codes link. So I'm going to just paste that there instead and then update. All right, now I'm going to update my post. I'm going to view it. There's my buy now button. If I click it, it takes me to P90X. So I'm going to go back. You'll notice that I didn't really have the option to open it in a new page, but you notice when I click on it, I have the option to use the text or the link button. So I'm going to click that, open in a new window, update it, update the post, view the page. Now when I click, it opens it to a new window. All right, so that is using an image. Last option is to use one of the Elegant Themes buttons. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter here. So all I do is I just click the button. Okay, my link, I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. I want it to be big and I want it to be green. All right, content, start P90X today. Open in a new link, please. Okay, now it looks crazy here. This is just short code that WordPress understands. All right, it's not visual. You have to use your imagination right here. But it also makes it easy to see what's going on and how to change it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit update, view page. I have my text link, I have my buy now, and now I have my generated button right here, and it works. So one more time, edit the page. Now I want to change the color to pink. I don't want it to open in a new window, or I need to update any of that. Or I want to just change what it says right here. P90X basic. And I, whoops, I can't remember how much it is. I think it's $19.85, okay. $19.85, update. Now when I go to view my page, oops, pink's not an actual color. Ah, let me fix that real quick. I know there's blue. Different themes, different colors. View page. And there's blue, and it says P90X basic $19.95. So then you can actually say what the different ones are. You know, you can just repeat the button. So I'm going to highlight this, copy, go to the end, hit enter. You don't want it to highlight like that. So since it wants to do that when I right click, I hit an extra enter. And then I'm going to change this to deluxe and spell it correctly. And now I need to change this. Now there's two options here. I can either go back to Coaching Codes and get the web address from there, or if I go to Team Beachbody, right, and I click on this and I find the deluxe, like here's ultimate. Oh, come on, where's deluxe? Okay. Oh, right there, peak results. Okay. Item number. This is the key here, because P90X is the item number on the other one, P90X Deluxe here. So if I just right click this, go back here, change this one, and then the price is $269.70. And then I'm going to make this one red and update. View page. Now you can see I've got this one and I've got this one. And if I click on P90X Deluxe, it takes me to the Deluxe. And that goes for anything. So if now I've got a couple of buttons made, I can actually just go in here and then I can just do the same thing. That would be LN Pump Deluxe, Upgrade Only. So you can also have, you know, the add-on items. as well. So if I am sticking with the P90X category, so I'm going to just go ahead and let's do the chin-up bar. So I'm going to go back here, edit, and now I'm just going to copy, go to the end here, and it's going to, all right, so I'm going to select this again, the product ID. I'm going to say chin-up bar, copy it, oops, paste it over, and then I'm going to put chin up bar, 59.85, and update. Oh, I should have changed the color. I'll make that one green. And now I view the page. And now when you click it, you can see it's just the chin-up bar. Now you'll notice the URL is different up here than the one we're linking to. This is based on the cookie on your computer. It's not going to send them to the product. So please do not use this ever. You're going to want to use the coaching code, and then when you click it, you'll notice how it changes like 4 times to get to the correct product associated with you. All right, so that is adding links using buttons on your theme, whether you're going to use a text link, an image, or if your theme has buttons where you can just dynamically change the text. So I'm going to move on to some questions that were asked. One was from Anna, and she wanted to know, what are custom fields? As you could see with the redirect, a custom field it's metadata. So it's extra information that's stored in the database that can be used in WordPress. Honestly, I want to say for most people that aren't programmers and aren't really custom, like writing their own WordPress, you're probably not going to use it. But what does use it are things like plugins. And so that redirect was actually a great example of using a custom field. So even if I uninstalled that plugin, I'll still have a field in my database for redirect with those URLs. So later on I can install it again. If you really wanted to auto-populate each of your posts with certain information specific to that blog post, like a common example would be what music you're listening to, you can create a custom field that says music now, and then you would just type that in when you're making your post. And then in your template for your post, you would tell it to call custom field music now, and then it would fill that in. So that's a little more of an advanced feature that you're looking at with custom fields, unless you hear about them through a plugin that you're using. And then that's basically all that his redirect is doing, is it's just looking at the extra metadata, and in this case it's for a redirect. I hope that answers that question. Another one is, how do you include YouTube on your posts? Okay, so let's say you did a video blog or vlog and you wanted to include it in a post. So I'm going to just call this one the wall sit. And I'm just going to type something real quick. Okay, so I've got my post here, and what I like to do is put a placeholder. All right, so that's kind of where I'm going to have my video, and then I'm going to say something else. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in blog, and it's kind of workout related, so I'm going to put it under workout. I could put it under P90X because that is a P90X thing, but I'm not. Okay. So now what I need to do is I need to go to my video. So in this case, I already have it loaded here on YouTube. And I'm just going to go here and go to share. By the way, this changes all the time. All right, so this by default is 560 by 315. Note that you can change the size. So you can use their different options, or if you had a specific size, I'm going to just leave it at 500. All this looks fine. So I'm just going to copy that. Go back to my blog post. I'm not going to post it here. I have to go over here to text. Then I find my placeholder right there. So I select it. You can delete it now, or you can highlight it and paste right over it. And then there's that code. I'm going to go back to visual, and you can see that box right there, that iframe. Now I'm going to click it and center it, and then I'm going to publish. Now when I go to my website, I didn't put a thumbnail for this, but if I go to my blog, and you can see it comes up here, so I click it, and then there's the video right there. That's it. So again, when you're in visual mode, if I were to paste it, so where I said YouTube, I'm in visual mode. If I click that and paste it in visual, it's going to show that. So when I update and view the post, that is not what I meant to show. It actually translates these arrows, because if I wanted to tell you an arrow, it actually turns this into a spelled out code, which is, this stands for left. So I'm actually, you can see how it did that here. So now it doesn't know the code. So that's where you want to make sure and use that in the text editor and not in the visual editor. So that wraps up part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 and let me know if you have any questions.